Hey everyone, welcome to the Script Network AMA. It's probably the first one we've had, I think, this year. So welcome everyone in a little bit of a different environment to the last one, which I think was on Discord or on Twitter Spaces. So I hope everyone is well. We're super excited to go through a lot of the questions that has been asked by the community, again, in a little bit of a different way to what was asked before. Through live AMAs that happen through voice. We're here obviously on video. And we're here really just to cut down some of the questions that's been frequently asked, also to break down some of the, I would say, areas of the business that we maybe haven't touched on as much by voice, which is obviously a little bit more difficult. And also, of course, talking about the future of things that are being built or have been built over the last couple of weeks or months. My name's Akeem. Obviously, we also have a Bill and Marcos on the call, which is part of the core team of Script Network. And of course, today we're going to be going through the questions that are asked on Slido over the last, I would say, 5 to 7 days. Now, as mentioned in our socials, the 3 questions at random will be chosen and ultimately given a reward based on giving your Slido questions and submissions on time. So congrats to everyone in advance if you have one. Those questions will be given probably towards the end or at the end. Of course, if you are a winner, you'll be contacted in the necessary manner. But all in all, sit back and, of course, do look forward and enjoy the AMA. And more importantly, do be sure to record or share, this AMA to others, because it will be probably going on YouTube, but also excitingly on Script TV as well for the first time. So there will be a Script TV channel for AMAs that will be shown on loop. So you can, of course, watch our faces and learn more about Script Network on repeat every single day if you wish. Let's get started. How are you guys today anyway?
Good. Thank you very much.
All good here.
Good stuff. We're in 3 different locations today, 3 different countries, but all good. We're obviously making it work, so I'm super excited about that. Right, we're going to go through some of the questions that has been asked through Slido. So these questions will, of course, come up for you, but let's get started straight away. So we've got a question here. In India, people are concerned about digital broadcasting. How Script TV will solve this problem? How will Script TV ultimately fix this issue? So ultimately, this is a really, really good question. Abe, I don't know if you wanted to take it, but certainly in general, this is something we've deeply, deeply thought about and cared about over the last couple of years whilst building.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to understand exactly what the question is about, because in terms of digital broadcasting, right? As I understand, like in India, it's a little bit different to how things are being done in Europe, for example. In Europe, we have the EBU, which is the Broadcasting Union, which essentially gives we have state funded television, which is free to air, and it's not the same in India, as I understand it. But how we're going to answer the question, how we're going to solve it, is just to continuously working with content partners, as well as distribution partners, to make sure that we continue with our mission, which is to democratize and decentralize it, essentially. So that includes as well India. We have been speaking with a few of the content partners that are from there and progressed, should I say, also in those talks. So we're just waiting until Mainnet and essentially our CTV suite, which we're going to come back to in a second. But before, once we release those applications we are across the board, then for sure we will be starting to onboard more content that is being produced from India. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, good stuff. I think we even have a Bollywood channel potentially coming as well, so that should be cool. But thanks for your question. Okay, we've got a question to do with airdrops, which is pretty common. Does Zeely affect my airdrop? Is the question. So for anyone who's maybe new and not aware of Zeely quests, we have a questing a range of quests that actually take place on multiple different platforms. So one of them is a company or website called dbank. Another is Zeely, and another is on our own website, which you ultimately get script points whilst taking part in various different simple activities, really, such as watching TV, logging in, or chatting on live chat. Through Zeely, there is points that are accumulated, which has happened over the last year or so. And those points ultimately will be converted into tokens that will be given, potentially, of course, in an airdrop. So yes, in short, the answer is Zeely Quest does affect the airdrop. Of course, the more you're active across the community, whether it's engagement in the chats or whether it's taking part in the quests on any of the platforms that we are currently partnered with or our own, of course, the better. So more information will come later this year to clarify, of course, your exact allocation depending on, ultimately how you fared with those quests. So I hope that answered the question. I know there was a few questions about Zeely, so I think that's covered that one there. So thanks for your question for sure. All right, moving on. So question here is, what are your team's top priorities to ensure that Mainnet is delivered on time? Abe and Marcos as well. I don't know if you wanted to touch on a little bit more on this question, because I think when Mainnet is a common question that comes up every couple of minutes or days. I don't know if you guys wanted to cover that question.
Well, we need to have the testnet fully functional, because the only difference between testnet and mainnet is actually the value of the token. That in testnet is zero value, so everybody can have economy or to run the actual video delivering system or the script TV apparatus without the restriction of not having balance. So, but this is the only difference. The code in the software is exactly the same. It's just another instance. But the economy in the testnet is resetted periodically to intentionally remove the value of the coin. So that's it.
So anything else to add on that?
If we have testnet good, then we have mainnet good in a blink of an eye.
Well, good, yeah. Abe, anything else to add? Or I think there was a few side questions as well in terms of, when mainnet specifically, or, completion percentage of where we're at in terms of that. I don't know if you wanted to touch on a little bit more on that side.
Sure. I think the question was from Nerd Alert, and it's let's see if I guess I'll just read it out so that everyone understands. And Nerd Alert essentially wants to know what has been happening since the data breach and how it caused delays, and essentially how far we have come. So there's a lot of things. Essentially, what we had to do once the after the data breach, we just took a step back essentially and just need to review every single line of code and the actual deployment that we have done, and we realized that it's better to be safe than sorry, because at the end of the day, what we want to is to deliver a platform that is, not only has a great user experience, but also is safe and secure. So we decided that we were going to do some big architectural changes to it. So that is what we have been working with during the first and essentially up to now, I would say. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, thanks, Ned, for your questions. I think there was a couple that was covering that area. And by the way, just thank you everyone for the questions that you have put in. Of course, there were so many that we're not going to be able to get through every single one. But we're trying to get through a lot of questions that were similar in kind. So hope that answers questions for when Mainnet. Generally speaking, we're at the final stages now of just rolling out the final bugs and issues within testnet, and then of course we have the node cell, which we'll probably go into in a little while, and then of course we would progress to mainnet, long awaited, this year for sure, and of course later this quarter we'd expect. So we have a question here by Mr. Bing, which is, how exactly is the watch to earn mechanism be incorporated in the TV app? How will users earn, and how much of that will on what conditions? Will there be a daily limit? Yeah, it's a really good question. So yes, there is a pretty detailed mechanism that is in place. There's been a protocol that we've developed for about 1.5 years now, which ultimately is focused on users earning on a day-to-day basis through, of course, watching content and watching TV essentially on different devices, but actually gamified to the fact that, people can have fun doing this through a complete game-changing experience that's not been done before, but also through an experience that, rewards those who are more loyal. So if I'm someone who has been watching every day and with Script Network or Script TV for the last 3 months, I ultimately will earn more than someone who has started on day one today. We're actually going to get up. Actually, what's probably easier, Abe, I'll just shoot it to you now. We'll actually get up the diagram and then we'll speak about it alongside the advertising protocol now. I think it's a good time to break and do that. And then we'll actually talk you guys through really briefly about the general protocol that has been set up. So if you just bear with me 1 second. Abe, I don't know if you wanted to add anything more to what I've just mentioned whilst we're just getting this diagram up on the screen.
Yeah, I think if there's anything that we can add, because the question is framed like, how exactly will it be incorporated in the TV app? So basically how it, if there's anything that I can add to it, is that, the smart TV application, the mobile application, as well as the web application, they're all essentially like a viewing, you can think of it like a viewing window into the central, to the actual streaming service. So whether it shouldn't really matter on on which device you're on, it will still be the same as in in terms of how much a user perhaps will earn, what type of glasses, if there's a data limit, everything should be exactly the same. So it's just different viewing windows into the streaming service, essentially. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Abe, if you could just pull up the glass diagram, which many may have seen before, but I don't think they've seen it explained beyond some Medium articles that we've written. But yeah, generally speaking, just whilst he's getting it up, I just want to clarify with the team, we've worked with Machinations, we've worked on game theory testing for almost 2 years now to really look at developing an ecosystem and process or protocol that is sustainable, because we don't want a situation where someone can watch with 10 different screens for 12 hours a day and just earn while sleeping, because we know there's ways to manipulate watching TV. So we wanted to ensure that it was fair. We also wanted to ensure it's sustainable. And we also wanted to ensure that there was no way of there being any malpractice or cheating. And we feel that we've managed to do that. Many people who have been familiar using the Script TV app can see that we've got a capture also on the screen, which obviously isn't live at the moment, but that plays a part in ensuring that the integrity of the person is actually and device is in check, and someone isn't literally just using 10 devices and not interacting with the platform. That's something that's super important to us, because when we come to the advertising discussion in a little bit, you'll understand that we also have a responsibility to our publishers as well, to ensure that the quality of the user and the viewer is of the highest possible. So yeah, Abe, are you able to get that up, or are you having some issues?
Yeah, it didn't seem to work for me. Try and see if it works for you.
I think try again now. It should work, maybe.
Yeah, let's see.
Is it saying that you're not able to? Exactly.
Yes, it seems to. Yeah, but I think it works now.
Oh, cool. Oh, I was going to say we can't see anything, but now we can. Okay, so
this was the one you asked for, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we've actually updated it anyway, but this is generally the way it would work. So you would mint a pair of glasses, which ultimately acts as a traditional NFT. The only difference is it's dynamic. So it actually allows you to essentially add experience, just like a game, add experience points to your pair of glasses through levels, through gems, through ultimately watch time that will essentially mean that you have a stronger pair of glasses than someone who has just started their journey with Script Network or Script TV in this case. So essentially what we have is a process whereby with these glasses, you can actually earn points, S-Pay, and off-chain rewards. But actually, through this process and watching TV, all you would do is mint these glasses, and you have the opportunity to then actually gain points whilst watching on a day-to-day basis, or connecting through live chat, or actually, of course, taking part in other on-chain activities. The difference is, however, to upgrade these pair of glasses and to improve your opportunities of earning more the following day, you would have to then ultimately take part in burning some of the rewards in order to upgrade. Just a little bit like, the easiest way to explain it is in a game, I'm sure everyone listening has played a game in their life, to maybe buy the shield or the added sword that you need to fight a bigger boss, you need to ultimately sell some or give away some gold. So it's just very, very straightforward concept. You don't have to burn any, but obviously it means that you'll earn less than others who do go ahead and do that. So it's engineered to ultimately reward those who have been watching for longer. And the exciting thing is those who are loyal users and those who are active users on a day-to-day basis can really, really gain significant rewards. And it will be totally fair because it will be those who ultimately are more active than others. And as you can see, there's redemption from a lot of offline events that we're working with. We're working with a lot of media partners and active places where you can actually ultimately benefit and get rewarded for your time and also for your glasses instead of just on chain. But our core focus is to reward those on chain, and the first pair of glasses is free, even though the 1,000 points does need to get confirmed. There might be a slight change to that, but the first pair of glasses is free as long as you've been active in collecting points over the last couple of months on Script TV. So hope that explains a little bit more. And Abe, I don't know if you wanted to spiral on. We can actually go back to the advertising question in a bit, but thanks for sharing it. You can, I think, close the screen now. And we can move on. Okay, so moving on. So thanks for your question on that. I think that there was one last bit where you said, is there a daily limit? There is a daily limit, yes. And that daily limit increases the higher your levels go in terms of your glasses. So you can find out more information on this in our documentation. And we've got tons of resources and even AMAs where we've spoke about this in more detail that's recorded. And we will, of course, also have a session where we go through it in very much detail and talk about all of the different areas of the website and how to understand how the glasses interacts with the app and ultimately how you earn more or earn in the first place every single day. Next question was from Jelly. So has Script Network any strong backing from reputed VC? Kindly share how many VC showing interest in Script Network. Great question. So a really simple answer for this. Head to our website. We have listed, I think on our new build, it'll be somewhere towards the bottom on the homepage that we have all of our list of backers, so you can check that out. We're going to actually put some of those for simplicity also on our documentation as well, so you can then just view that. But yeah, we've been fortunate enough to have a range of great backers from the Web3 VC space, and we continue to from that perspective. So I hope that answers your question. Next question from Stone Cold. Maybe it's the wrestler. So how are you doing? If so? I have seen brands pay millions and billions to get broadcasting rights of international games like FIFA. How will team get rights from all over the world? Yeah, Abe, I don't know if you wanted to cover this. I'm guessing the question's more like how will Script Network interact and ultimately work with brands, or what's our plan with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is an interesting question for sure, and to be quite blunt, it is very difficult to get. If we're talking about big championships such as FIFA or as we just had last week or the other 2 weeks Olympics, it's very difficult to get broadcasting rights. So in that sense, we are essentially competing with all of these larger brands or streaming service providers, such as Discovery, HBO Max, DAZN. There's a lot of them, and the thing is that how the licensing rights work is that you essentially need to, the publishers that will essentially broadcast the content usually require exclusivity for a particular country or for a particular region, which makes it how can I say this? It makes it a little bit more difficult for us. Like when you think about it from like from what we're trying to do, we're, as we mentioned before, are saying every now and again, we are trying to democratize and, decentralizing. So this kind of defeats the point that we're trying to make. And, just to speak about it from, even FIFA nowadays are, if you have any of the larger TV manufacturers' TV sets, then you would be able also to once we're on FIFA subject, you would also be able to download the FIFA Plus. I'm not sure if you guys know about it. So they are also now in this space and are broadcasting it themselves. So it makes it a bit difficult, absolutely. But this is something that we are trying to, this is our responsibility essentially, to be out there once we are speaking with these brands, that we also try to educate them on, where the industry is heading, what people are expecting now, and essentially about the entire Web3 concept and so on. And there is also another thing that I haven't mentioned yet. We have also the essentially the micro sector that we operate in, which is called FAST, or it stands for Free Ad Supported Television. We're also seeing that a lot of these larger brands are creating a lot of free channels, essentially, that are free to air and syndicate this content to other platforms, essentially. So, and since this industry is one of the faster sectors that are in terms of growth, I think we'll start to see some change. It will take some time, but it will definitely we will definitely see some change in due course, I'm sure.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Really good question, actually.
It is,
because it's definitely something that everyone thinks about for sure. Abe, I don't know if you want to ask the next questions. That I think there's a few technical questions here.
Yeah, we have a question for Marcos, and one of them is about our technical roadmap, or how what is the long-term plan from a technical perspective.
The long-term plan of Script TV. Only one word. The long-term plan is amazing. I believe and I feel passionate about that. Now, it comes with a cost of development. And development is something that is underrated. So it takes more time than it looks like. But we are committed to do the things right, the things good, secure, and safe for the user, basically. And that requires a lot of care, going through the same thing over and over again, just to find this, the algorithm. If you are a coder, you know what I'm talking about. So that comes also with the pressure of you, my beloved community, that all we do is for creating this Web3 concept of television, in which that is aligned 100% with the Web3 paradigm, which is a way of empowering the individual, of maximizing privacy, the right for the people, the right to consume whatever they want, sovereignty, distribution, which encompasses safety, because if we create a secure enough network, we are running on our own economy, and everybody is participating in the business. Look at it that way. So this is a brand new paradigm. It's fundamentally based on as you might know, on a peer-to-peer network of nodes. So the node is the essential part of our infrastructure. So the long-term plan would look like everybody is taking part in the system and is enjoying the what's to earn concept that we are building for you. I have like a picture in my mind of the concept, what I want to achieve, but normally I think in multi-dimensions and cannot be represented or projected into a 3D world. But I am convinced that the open source is a way, the surveying open source is a way of certifying or that the software behaves as expected, and also is the opportunity to share with all you guys the development journey. We expect we go first place into technical excellency.
Yeah, and I just wanted to, I may as well, I think, trying to like merge together questions because so we don't like jump around too much. And I know there's a question here which I think we can easily cycle into based on what Marcus has just said, which is where do you see Script Network in 5 years? And I think, you know, one of the key things that certainly we will continue to always work to be better at communicating. But, you know, one of the things that we want to be sure that people understand is the big picture of what Script Network really is. I'm sure Abe will probably just follow up to find on some areas that maybe is not even spoken about enough, you know, based on areas that we've been developing, which is a complete game-changing area. Not just of Web3, but of, you know, streaming as well as content globally. And these are areas that ultimately is in need of disruption. You know, this isn't a industry that is just, this is a Web3 version of something that isn't required, like a Web3 Uber, you know, a decentralized Uber, you know, which, you know, okay, I'm sure there'll be some benefits, but there's no significant difference from that perspective. We are really ultimately aiming to change, again, you know, across our mission, television and film through democratization and decentralization. And actually Script TV and Watch to Earn and everything that we're talking about is actually a very important part, but is actually just a part of the overall plan of what's being built out. And I think a lot of the time, you know, anytime I bump into someone, we talk about Script Network, they would bring up Watch to Earn, they'd bring up Mainnet, or they'll bring up, you know, even, you know, something to do with the channels or etc. But as we'll come to in a minute, where we talk about the advertising protocol, but also, you know, areas of like the decentralized CDN that we're building out. These are things that are core areas of a significant industry that is needed for change immediately, yesterday, should you say. So, but Abe, I don't know if you want to just briefly just touch on just some of the areas over the bigger picture that Script TV and Script Network overall is disrupting.
And if I can, I wanted to add as well that, well, technically, the evolution is in terms of how is the node, the maturity status of the node. So we have like stages. We have the basic node, then we have now for those users that want to belong to the crypto economy of Script TV, then we have 2 ways of staking nodes. The electing node and the validator node are 2 different types that can be operated by users, and then the long term or the last point in the roadmap for this is the edge nodes. These nodes just complete this adds the CDN functionality. So it gives the user the opportunity to belong or participate and be part of the content distribution network of the payloads. I mean, the payload is the streaming, the video streaming, how it's distributed across all users. And this is going to be mechanized as well by the participants. Through
so it sounds like we should get the whiteboard out and do some drills.
For sure.
So,
yeah. And
good.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that, all of this, translates into, Script Network having, at least for now, I'm sure there will be more, but 5 different verticals across the business, which is the, we have the layer 1 with the nodes. We have the enterprise side, which consists of, the workflows that are, unified workloads for, other publishers or, for example, content partners where, they will be able to spin up channels and, syndicate this to other platforms and so on. There's, and of course, the advertising ecosystem, which we're going to come back to in a second. But there's so many things that we're doing and building out. So essentially trying to create like this big ecosystem for brands, for consumers, as well as advertisers, and fit them all into the same ecosystem. So it's essentially a win-win-win situation.
Affirmative.
Yes. Here. So, I hope that answered your question. I think I answered a few questions here. So
there's one from Rudy here.
Yeah.
For which platforms will Script Network's applications be? Can we generate income from your mobile devices via Watch to Earn? Yeah, so I guess the question is about on which platforms we will be on, and if the mechanism will be working on, on the particular device. And the short answer is yes, it will. We are going to be on a few of them actually. So the first one, let's see, I had to list them all. So it's including but not limited to, I guess, Hisense. We have Roku, Fire TV, Samsung, LG, Android TV, Apple TV, as well as the Apple and Android mobile. I'm not sure exactly if there's, there might have been one that I missed, but generally speaking, all of the major third-party providers will be on there, and that's the end goal. So hopefully we will start releasing the new applications from next month. We will go in beta. So I don't, just whilst we're on the subject, because there's a lot of questions has been around when the CTV the smart TV applications is about to be released. So I guess whilst we're on the subject, I might as well touch on that. I think the reason because of the delay has been the TV manufacturer have their own quality assurance process, which essentially is out of our control. So in order to be able to create a seamless experience on their platforms, they have this rigorous testing that they're doing before an application is published, and different TV manufacturers have different lead times. So it's a little bit out of our control, but we are in deep discussion with all of them. And I think it looks like at least what I think is that we would be live on the majority of the platforms starting from next month. That's how it looks like now. It's pretty positive.
Yeah, great stuff. And I guess whilst we're here, we may as well speak about the advertising. I think that was just part of some of the other questions. I would say there's actually a question here, which is an anonymous question, which is: will there be advertisements in the content we will watch with Script Network? If it will take place, will we earn from the advertisements we watch? So yeah, we can give some clarification there. I'll answer just part of this whilst Abe is bringing up his screen, but ultimately we have something called a GlassPass NFT, which was minted late last year. Those who own that will be able to get rewards based on revenue of advertisements post Mainnet. What those rewards are, and what the shape of those rewards are, as in, whether it's SPay, SCPT, etc., off-chain rewards, etc., that is to be confirmed. But yes, GlassPass holders will get that benefit from that perspective. But yeah, we will also explain, I think a few minutes ago I was talking about some of the things that we have done that maybe is not spoken about enough. And I think one of those is the advertising protocol that we have developed and put within our ecosystem. It's very important, which Abe probably will shed more light to, but it's ultimately one of the aspects of what makes Script TV sustainable in itself as it grows. Because of course, to reach even 1 million users, let alone 10 million, 100 million users, you have to have 99% realistically of your audience a non-Web3 native audience. And that means you ultimately need to have a sustainable or way to generate revenue and operate without relying on just on-chain transactions. And this is something that we've obviously built within, and obviously will be going live. Well, partly is live now, but I'm sure Abe will maybe explain a little bit more on that side.
Sure. So hopefully you can see the screen that I'm sharing right now.
Yep.
Great. So essentially, when it comes to advertising, there's a specific type of process that is quite long and hefty for someone that wants to advertise when it comes to either a video or if you want to have a display ad on a website and so on. So I'll spare you the technical details but in short, it works like an exchange. So what happens at the back end is that you have to go through a serious amount of hurdle to essentially being able to advertise to the end user. And the advertisers and the advertising the ad tech company, should I say, as well as the data aggregation companies are essentially collecting a lot of data points from each and every single one. And I think I read a study a couple of months ago where the average data points that are being collected about a user is around 1,500, which is quite interesting to me, at least. But what I wanted to say is that we have some sort of a hybrid model in the works where we can utilize the traditional way of advertise, but also I guess the benefit would be that from a Web3 perspective is that projects that essentially want to advertise online across the board are somewhat limited to where they can advertise, but with with the protocol that we are building, they would essentially be able to advertise on our platform with what do you say, like on our platform, but also to our users. And once the as Akeem also mentioned, is that once an ad has been aired, then you essentially, from a user perspective, you get a reward for it as well. So that is in short of how it works, and hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, hopefully that answers the question. Okay, so I guess over to another, you could say, semi-technical question. I don't know if you wanted to ask or read that out.
Sure. It's a question for Marcos, and it's around Script Network's plan for community developers.
Wow, that's a big topic here. Well, we have a lot of plans with the community because we have a development and we want to share it open to the community. So we want to create a bigger task force so we can deliver the features earlier, just for completing that cycle. And I'm pretty sure that among the community, there are developers. So perhaps we can think on segment the community into groups. And for those of you that are developers, then we have a program to make you belong to the team that is actually the core team that is building the Script TV software. And so this is an open invitation to start thinking about belonging to a development team that is a kick-ass team. So we want to make a very high performance team and also a skilled team. And we have a workflow, a procedure to accept the contributions of a big number of developers or that confluence all together and just spread the things to do, the ever-growing list of things to do, spread it on the developers, and collect back quality code and ship it in a daily basis. So we have already achieved the daily shipping of the software, things that we didn't have before because during these months before, in the last 6 months, we have been working underneath in something that is not tangible for the user. So you probably have seen that the web page hasn't changed a lot, but we have released already the V3 we call, which is the next version, and you look and it's a little bit buggy, etc. But we are improving it. But what have we done before? Underneath that, we have resolved a lot of issues relating to technical debt because we had like a prototype that has had one deployment in several years, and this deployment has been modifying in time to cope with the new features. But what we have done is a way to reconstruct the whole thing, the whole deployment in an automation pipeline, and now we can do it in a daily basis. So we are recreating our software with high frequency updates, and the content of those updates are collected daily by our merger in the team, which is the role we have for this developer that is collecting changes coming from other developers and augmenting the number of developers, we increase the flow of new features that we can merge and deploy at a high frequency. So we want to optimize and make us better on this. We want to start accepting community developers, and we are going to work on making it easy for you to access a seat in the development team.
Yeah.
This is what we, in a big guideline, what we think about sharing all the stuff in a transparent way, all the evolution of the technical side of our infrastructure.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the good things to point out, and obviously we'll roll this out with a little bit more, we'll certainly clarify this in further documentation as well. But as we've always mentioned, we're not so much an app chain in terms of script being a layer one, which we'll come to some node and layer one questions that have come up in a minute. But we of course welcome developers and apps that want to utilize script blockchain. But the key factor of why we exist isn't to be faster than Binance Smart Chain or cheaper than Ethereum. I mean, there's hundreds of chains, L1s and L2s, that offer that. Obviously we are, but that's not the reason why we exist. We've got genuine video infrastructure that's been built out, whether it's through storage, whether it's through transcoding, whether it's through our decentralized CDN. But we also have streaming services, advertising services, which ultimately, we feel that's what cuts us apart from everywhere else. We have the ability to deliver and offer our partners in-stream ads to an aggregated network of hundreds of millions of devices. And we're also able to have users or companies actually use our ecosystem and chain without actually necessarily deploying a smart contract on it, because we have other services that can be used. So that's one of the exciting things about what's been built with Script Blockchain, and one of the reasons why SPay as a network token is super important, and why, of course, on eve of its launch, it's really a huge opportunity to get involved if obviously it's something that you wish to. And the first opportunity of that is through the node sale, which I guess I'll cycle on and talk about now. There is quite a lot, as I'm sure you guys may see, there's quite a lot of questions surrounding nodes. So I think I'll explain the node cell now, and then I think we can just answer the cluster of questions that are pretty much all around nodes, which maybe we will need to get the whiteboard out for, just to briefly answer. But in short, we are, of course, and have been for quite some time, building Script Blockchain. So to, of course, secure and scale, as well as even verify the blocks on Script Blockchain, it requires nodes to run that. And we will be conducting a node sale for our Lightning nodes, which is one of the three types of nodes that we have within our ecosystem. And I think we will bring the whiteboard in a minute for one of the questions, because I think it covers or asking about the different nodes and the benefits. But in short, we will have 15,000 nodes that will go to sell, which is quite small. But our focus is to have a high quality a set of node runners across the world, and also a diverse set as well. Information in terms of the process of this node cell, in terms of the timing as well, will be live probably, well, I'd say a few days after now, and that will go live on the website. And they'll include information as to when this will happen. But generally speaking, it will be just on the eve of Mainnet that you'd have the opportunity to get a node. And what a node ultimately allows you to do is you purchase essentially a license key, which is like an NFT in general, and that can then be used to ultimately be your key, quote unquote, to run a node, whether it's through a VM or through your own device or through some of our connected partners, which will allow you to essentially, through a few clicks, be able to run your node with their service. And ultimately, once you're running a node with us, you will get rewards per block. So ultimately, multiple times per day, which would, of course, be automatic as long as you are running your node to the level of what is the threshold, which is the same as any other chain. So more information will go live on that. We'll probably just even do another short session just to cover this in specifics closer to the time. But to know more information about the actual node sale, do check out documentation and posts on that on socials over the next, it depends on when you're actually listening to this actually. So, but at some point very soon, yeah, you'll see it. And of course, once you do, let us know through Discord, Telegram, or email if you've got any questions on that. So we have a few questions on nodes. So I'm just going to load up a whiteboard in case we need it. But there's a couple of questions that I just think we may as well cover all at once. So one of which is, well, I'll just say this first. They say, can I expect to get some rewards later if I'm running a Lightning node before we're in Mainnet? I think what that question means to say is, am I going to get rewards from running a Lightning node in testnet? I think that's what they're saying. If you run a testnet node of any form, you will be very likely to get an airdrop. But in terms of rewards, in terms of actual live tokens, no, you would not if you're running a testnet node, but you will, of course, be included in some way in regards to the airdrop. So I hope that answers your question there. And yeah, just to clarify for everyone listening, yeah, there's quite a few questions just surrounding nodes. So Abe, I don't know if you could see them yourself as well. Okay, so there's a question here. So I don't know if everyone has access to this, but I'll read it out. Maybe Marcos, if you want to take it, or Abe actually. It says in future, basically the questions are this. It's not said correctly, but is in future, can anyone be a validator on Script blockchain? If yes, please share the benefits of becoming a Script validator. That's another question.
Yeah. Today,
yes,
validators are.
You can use a whiteboard if you like. I've just opened it.
But it's a freestyle drawing. No.
Yeah, first time for everything.
So the algorithm in the blockchain, the way our blockchain secures the blockchain itself in order to be resilient against tampering and all the benefits that the blockchains bring, we have two roles of nodes, validators and lightning nodes. Now, there is a physical restriction about how many validators nodes are in charge of producing the block candidates. This block candidate is then consumed by the Lightning Network, much bigger, to finalize the blockchain. So they both give the guarantee of have a common blockchain and a ledger to agree with in consensus. So these roles are operated, validators few, Lightning a lot. So this is the only difference, is the role they take in securing the network. So because the positions or seats for validators are limited, there are different deals of occupying that seat. And this is not technical, is however the company license those seats, those are going to be occupied. And then the candidacy for being a Lightning node is open, so there is no restriction. Whereas in validators, there is a scarce number of seats. So this is the only difference.
Okay, yeah, thanks for your question. Really good question, and hope that makes it clearer to the difference. So whilst we're on the subject of nodes and ultimately what we're speaking about here, is there just gonna, sorry, I don't think that question makes sense. Let me just raise conditions. Yeah, I'm not really sure what that means. I think some of the questions doesn't so much make sense. Okay, so there's another question here. Are there any plans to allow node operators to run their own channel? It's an interesting question there. I think it's two separate areas in general, but there will be benefits for node operators outside of essentially daily rewards. And that's one of the great things that we can offer from having, ultimately a super dApp that's already running, that's already got users and a little bit of momentum, hopefully by then scale, that we're able to offer extra incentives. But yeah, there's no particular plans to allow to run node operators to run their own channel. But I think as it stands, we'll go to the final set of technical questions whilst we're here, whilst we've got the whiteboard up if we need it. Abe, I don't know if you want to ask the final one there, and then we have a couple here as well before we move on to some of the other questions surrounding the marketing and AI and also future plans over the next couple of months.
Sure. We have a question here that says, how does the process look like if I would like to deploy a smart contract on the chain? I guess it's a Marcos question.
All right. So how does it look like to deploy a smart contract in Ethereum? Well, this is how it looks like to deploy a smart contract on ScriptTV.
Should I close this, or are you going to use it?
You can close it.
I'll close it.
I cannot draw it. Anyway.
All right. I'll close it.
So technically, we are running EVM, which is a piece of software that is what powers Ethereum in terms of smart contracts. So it basically executes Solidity code. So we have it integrated in our own level 1, and we provide the interface so the users can submit compiled versions of Solidity. Now, outside of the network, you can use exactly the same set of tools that you would use in Ethereum to create the Solidity, edit the Solidity files, and compile them and submit them. So set them up in our level 1 exactly with the same API that they would do in Ethereum, basically. So there is a lot of documentation on how to deploy a smart contract in Ethereum. So the tool set is kind of covered from that. Now, what can you do with Solidity in ScriptTV? This is something that we would be creating things that are touching TV. Things, I mean, smart contracts or examples of how to create smart contracts, but technically we are not mature enough to provide fancy examples of wonderful things to do on the blockchain, because we have other matters more urgent to resolve in our scarcity of task force. But in the roadmap, we will be publishing whatever is different from Ethereum and ScriptTV, but it would be higher level, not at the level of Solidity. Perhaps we have some preset smart contracts, and your smart contract can interact with presets that we have. That would be easy to create programmable money related to TV. So all connected. How can you exploit the basics building elements of the system to create your own algorithms that run forever in the blockchain? And this is kind of an open field, more subject to creativity from the users. And our only mission is to make it easy for you to deploy and execute your more complex algorithms or personalized things that you developers, users of the community would do and deploy. Yeah, well, there is a lot of ideas or higher level businesses that you could do, but I'm not here to say those. I'm here to make it easy for you to implement those ideas. And this is the open port we have with the smart contracts to like an extension of the whole system.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your question. I think that was something that a lot of people wanted to know the answer to. So thanks for your question and I appreciate it. I think that's most of the technical questions from that perspective. We'll go to some of the questions now. I think most of the questions now can kind of be grouped because I say most of them, the questions that we have enough time to answer, and apologies in advance for the many questions that we're not able to answer in time or wasn't selected. For sure, next time we'll have to do a monster session, or maybe just do AMAs certainly more often. So there's a couple of questions here about mobile applications. So at least 4 or 5 questions about this. So generally, the questions are surrounded around the question is, can we generate income from the mobile devices via Watch to Earn? What's the status of the mobile apps at the moment? When do we hope to release them? Is it Android? Is it iOS, etc.? So, Abe, I don't know if you wanted to just give like a collective answer on the mobile landscape at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the question, there was a multiple questions there. So I guess if we tackle them one by one, I think the first one was around watch to earn, if it works on mobile. Was that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So one of the questions was that. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So to answer that, I think we also answered it previously, but how think about the applications as as viewing windows inside the streaming service. So on the mobile phone, it's one viewing window. On the smart TV, it's another window, and of course, if you're sitting on your desktop, it's a third window. So it should more or less look the same, work the same. So to answer the question, yes, it should. The watch to earn mechanism will work there as well. And I think the other question was around the on if it was iOS or Android. I think
that and release and potential release dates. Basically, I think that houses
yes,
questions.
Sure. So we will be on both iOS and Android, and I think we haven't really set the date for the release, but I do believe sometime next month it should be. We should be live on either both of them or one of them. That's how the projections looks like at this current stage.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your question. Really help. Again, really helpful to many as well, who I'm sure want to ask questions and no answers to questions on mobiles, and ultimately our growth to that. You may wonder why we have been building apps for TVs before mobiles, which I guess could seem a little bit backwards, but actually, because we're in the TV industry, the larger the screen, the better, because we're going for our attraction for Script TV, that the segment it's in, it's ultimately for larger screens, as well as smaller screens. So it's equally as important to be on those larger devices, which is the TV manufacturers and OEMs, like Abil has mentioned earlier. So there's two questions I'm just going to, again, cluster together. There's a few questions about regional channels. Will we have regional channels? I think we touched on this a little bit earlier, but in short, yes, we're going to have regional channels. The aim is to completely customize the experience for users. So if you're signing in from France and I'm signing in from India, my experience will be different immediately, but also I'll have the option to watch French dramas in French, or other dramas or TV shows in my regional language. And that's some of the things that we're looking to add, alongside, of course, subtitles on all TV channels and shows as well. These things are super important because we're a global company. Most of the content that we acquire or get licensed we look for global coverage. So that means it can work in every country, regardless of where you are. And that's our goal, is to truly decentralize television. A lot of people do ask the question, what is different with us to another streaming TV platform? And it's just that, it's to have a TV platform that's global, works for everyone, is free for everyone, but also, of course, has a range of benefits that ultimately is not possible in Web 2. So that's answering quite a few of those regional questions. I'll just touch on a question from Sentinel, which is AI based. So what is the role of AI in content creation, distribution, and consumption, and how will these changes impact the media landscape? Well, it's a very big question. it's already affecting it in a big way. You're seeing, part shows, and you already saw VGX. You already saw a lot of effects being created ultimately through automation or through AI, even before the surge in AI development through video over the last couple of years. This has been going on in the film and TV industry for a long time, but now you're seeing it at a different level where, genuinely trailers are being put together, TV ads, and now very short films are now being put together 100% using AI. This is of the help of some of the leaders in this space, which is like Sora, etc. We are not, obviously it will disrupt and change the way the space is forever, because it's going to astronomically cut down costs. There may be some negatives in from the development, of course, but also ultimately it's going to mean that there'll be more high quality content for people at a lower cost, or no cost. And alongside that, it also means that filmmakers that have the opportunity to genuinely put together a film, maybe partly in AI or fully developed in AI in a matter of, maybe weeks or months rather than years. I know a director that took 7 years to put together their film, which was just over an hour long. And that's an average time of how long it takes and how much money it also costs, is astronomical over a 7-year period. So it allows filmmakers to really, really have a game-changing opportunity, but it also means, from our perspective, because we are on the distribution end, to actually lead from an AI distribution perspective, and we intend to do that through having high-quality AI film on our platform, and ultimately being aggregated and distributed to a wide network. Which essentially will not be available anywhere else at the speed that we believe it will be. But yeah, thanks for your question. AI is a massive, massive area, not just in script TV, but also in a lot of the tools that we're using within the company, and the other areas of script blockchain and our process in terms of collecting content and putting it on chain as well. We're looking to use more and more AI to do that. But more on that, of course, in future announcements over the next couple of weeks and months. Okay. So I think I will now just group I'd say we're down to the last couple of questions that we'll answer. I think very, very common questions are surrounded with, I'll read one of them out and I'll just answer some of the others that are similar. Being a revolutionary and new concept in this space, how will Script Network revolutionize the entertainment and video space, mainstream services, cable providers, ? So I think a lot of the questions are surrounded with, how will you guys stand out? How will you guys ultimately do this from this point forward? I think with us, we've led with innovation and ultimately aiming to focus on building out a change to what people know and love, but ultimately people are frustrated by. So one of the things that we've been working on is ultimately, building out, like I think Marcos mentioned, I think about half an hour ago, about, the underbelly. So maybe things that you guys can't see on a day-to-day basis, but building the infrastructure, building the actual development on the back end to allow us to not only deliver, game-changing products, but for us to actually distribute and have a plan of action which makes sense. And we've now come into, this period of the year where we have a lot of significant, exciting products that we have developed, and also a reminder to the fact that we're still in the industry even today, now in 2024, which is still dinosaur-like. It's still, there's still studios that doesn't understand or know how to use 99% of their content library, which is just sitting stale, on a shelf or in cloud storage. burning away. They're using previous external providers to house their data, which is costing them an astronomical amount. But more so, they're also not getting enough distribution opportunities for their top quality content. So even just from a content perspective, we are really housing that change, and we are fortunate enough to have a lot of interest and demand from that perspective. But our core focus to revolutionize the space is a step-by-step process. It is a massive space and there's a lot to do. And our first step is to deliver Mainnet, increase and solidify and improve Script TV as it's ultimately the conceptual app that proves the change that we are leading by on a day-to-day basis, whether that's through new channels, whether that's through updated UI, whether that's through more platforms it's going to go live on, which is all things we spoke about today. These are areas that we are ultimately stepping into to change the space as we know it, and we aim that across our roadmap. As anyone who has been following, it's quite ambitious and quite aggressive goals that we have over the next couple of years to do just that. And actually, that's still only just a part of it. We expect in 5 years' time to go leaps and bounds into an even higher level of making an impact in, the streaming and content space. But for now, we obviously want to get our head down and focus on delivering something that's been somewhat delayed, but delivering something of a high quality in Mainnet, alongside obviously the Watch to Earn, which also has been delayed. But it's looking really, really great, and through our testing and shaping up to be something that is an industry first in Web3 and an industry first in the streaming space as well. Right. On to the final question. I don't know if, Abe, you wanted to look at just some final questions. We can just take a couple more, one each or something. Or Abe, Marcus, I think there's.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I'll just answer it. Whilst you're looking, I'll just answer a couple of others about marketing. So a common question is about, are you collaborating with KOLs? Are you working with marketing agencies, PR companies, etc.? Yes, we are doing that on day-to-day, week-to-week basis. Largely from our perspective, it's one of the things that's important to notice and note here is that we are ultimately operating, sometimes you could say in the short term, as a Web 2.5 company. That means we have to serve almost two different communities and two industries at the same time. We are not we're not a DEX / DeFi platform where 100% of our users are crypto natives and 100% of all the users that we want to connect with from a marketing perspective are degens or users of crypto for the last 5 years. We're operating in a space where actually 50% of the time we actually want, even specifically those who maybe have never even bought a crypto asset in their life. Your sister, my brother, the person's cousin or friend, someone who has never ever gone anywhere near crypto, and actually this being their step into the industry. And that's important because, you can't really scale past a couple of 100,000 or a couple of million users without actually having that plan. And then obviously on the other side, we're also focused on our crypto users. So some of the times if we always ask the community to just bear that in mind, that as we grow, even some of the products that we release, maybe in the short term, you think, oh, well, that's not what I wanted. But actually, the large plan and scale is to focus on really attracting millions of users, tens of millions of users, and even long-term hundreds of millions of users. And for that to happen, it means that we obviously need to release things focused on scale long-term. And that's what really ultimately matters from that perspective. But yeah, I hope that answers that question. Abe, I don't know if you wanted to take a final one on your side.
Yeah, I'm just looking over here, and it seems that many of the questions here that are remaining are what you already answered. But let's see here if we can find them. The problem is that it doesn't really update for me. So
yeah, I've got another question to answer, which I missed, which I can just see here. So the question is, Script Network has a dual token economy. As everyone may know, SCPT and SPay. What are the role of the two tokens on the platform? So Abe, I don't know, whilst you're just looking, could you just share your screen and go to the research page if possible? And just whilst you're doing it, I'll just explain a little bit more. So we do have two tokens. Obviously, one of them has been released. The other one has not been released yet. So SCPT acts as the governance token and is focused on staking and is focused on advertising and ultimately governance. So the ability to be part of setting and taking part in proposals through votes, whether it's through actual network infrastructure changes, or it's through content governance where you can choose, which has not been released yet, but you can choose whether you want to potentially watch more French dramas or more American comedies. You can actually put through proposals and people can then vote for or against. And we want that to be a really novel area from that perspective. And as mentioned, it also provides the ability through advertisers to also purchase SCPT tokens and then ultimately have the ability to buy ad space based on owning the SCPT token. This is all available, by the way, on our site, as you can see at the top. So script.tv, token.script.tv/research. But if you just scroll down to SPay, so SPay is actually the network token. So it's a token that is ultimately used for gas. It's going to be the token that's going to be used by multiple different projects. That's going to be, whether that's, again, going back to previous discussions of like 20 minutes ago, some projects that even use are changed purely for advertising, purely for storage, purely for transcoding. They will still make use of the SPay token through fees and through costs, but ultimately it's also for premium channel access, it's for watch to earn rewards, and ultimately through buying script glasses as well. And it's ultimately also for node rewards alongside some other, I would say, hidden benefits, which is going to be announced in the coming weeks of what SPay actually is significantly there for. But that is going to launch alongside Mainnet. Obviously, it's super, super important that those who are part of the ecosystem understands that they are two separate tokens for two different reasons. But that being said, of course, they are both important in their own way. So I hope that answered your question. But again, we're going to do a session. When we do the session on our node sale, we'll probably touch more on the importance of SPay and also how the rewards work from that process in more detail. Okay, I think that answers that question. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm just going to check. There's still a lot of other questions, but I think we're going to wrap up now because we're reaching the 2-hour mark, or at least I think we are, about 1:45. So yeah, just whilst we're here, we obviously have 3 winners that we promised that will be ultimately getting a prize. So in advance, congratulations. We're going to be giving rewards out to questions asked every single time now we do AMAs. And our AMA is always going to be now through video. And the reason for that is because it allows us to explain things in more detail and show more information, but also it's because obviously we can now start housing and putting these AMAs on our TV platform, on Script TV. Although this will also be on YouTube as well. In fact, it'll be on YouTube first of all. So you'll be able to watch it on the Script TV YouTube channel. But yeah, so we're gonna just so I've just done a randomizer. So the 3 winners intentionally going to be read out here. So you have to watch this show to know if you've won. Sorry. So you have to watch all 1 hour 45 of our faces to know if you've won, which I'm sure you have done. And the 3 winners are, drum roll, number 1. Well, actually, it's in no particular order, so I don't know why I said number 1. In no particular order, it's NFT holder.
Woo-hoo.
It's Rudy, RUDI.
Rudy.
Nice.
And lastly, it's Sentinel.
Sentinel.
So these are Discord usernames, I assume. So the team will reach out. In fact, sorry, what am I talking about? You will need to DM us. So DM or open a ticket on Discord under the same name that obviously we have written down. So I'll read out the names again. It's NFT holder, it's Rudy, and it's Sentinel. So please open up a ticket on Discord, and the team will give you your prize. So congratulations and thank you for your great questions. Obviously you contributed immensely to this AMA. And you probably do through the community as well. So we thank you for being an active member and even being here in the first place and submitting your question. So I think we're going to wrap up now. So first and foremost, do you guys have any extra things to say? Maybe just a final couple of sentences on, what to expect over the couple of next coming weeks and months, or I don't know, a song. I don't know if you wanted to sing. I know Marco's in a music studio, so maybe he can maybe you can do something. Maybe you can play guitar. I can't actually see any music there. I'm not even sure what's behind you.
What I want to say is that I want to see in the future, from September, community developers coming into the group and growing up the task force and increase our delivery rate of quality code. And apart from that, this is the first time I am in front of the community, so I am very happy to introduce myself. Perhaps you can reach me on social, in Twitter as Manic_Beret, Manic_Beret. And I don't operate on Discord yet, but perhaps I do. So you can get to me through there or through my company email, marcos@script.tv.
Great stuff. I think this AMA has been great. I think if there's anything that I can add, it is. It has been a long, interesting journey, challenging one. But we are finally starting to see, the end of or the light in the tunnel, as you usually say, with a lot of things, going to come out pretty soon. We have all of the smart TV dApps and mobile dApps, and Mainnet is pretty close now, and there's a lot of things that because of the incident that happened, back in Q1, we everything got delayed, and of course now everything is about to come at the same time, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see how that will play out. But yeah, super exciting times ahead.
Yeah, and I just want to echo what Marcos and Abe said. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. It's been a blast, and I think just keep being an active, great member in the community. What we're building takes time, but it is something special that we feel, and alongside our brand partners and content partners and everyone alike. So we really are aiming to change the industry. But for sure, these things take time, but we're definitely now on the path of completion from that perspective. There's a ton of opportunities and rewards that we've pretty much always given out in the community, from just being a great part of our community in your own way. And I think over the next coming days, I think the team is also announcing, a refreshed ambassador program, opportunities to constantly get rewards based on, your engagement. You have the script points that you can continue to collect. You've got the questing on DBank or Zeely that you can continue to collect. You've got an upcoming airdrop to look forward to. You've got NFTs from in our ecosystem that you can grab and ultimately benefit from. And all these things allow you to basically be part of something huge. And the opportunity is here now. So definitely don't say we didn't tell you. But for sure, thanks so much. Just to clarify one more time, this will be out on YouTube. You're probably going to be listening to it for the first time on YouTube or watching it. But we're also going to be rolling it out on loop on our own channel, actually on Script TV. So you actually will be able to do that, watch that, and then of course all subsequent AMAs and content from the Script TV team will be on that channel. So yeah, feel free to check it out. And obviously, if you have any questions about anything, whether it's questions not unanswered here today, or whether it's questions that you just have about, I don't know, the weather or the channels on Script TV, or anything about the plans, short, long, medium, or long term, always reach out through tickets on Discord. That's always the fastest way. But if you wish to, you can also email us, or of course go on Telegram and speak to one of the moderation team. So thanks again for everyone joining, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks
a lot.
Thank you.